So today, Anna on behalf of PublishDrive, and then we have our expert, Zvonimir, who is going to walk us through the nuances of EPUB editing. So a lot of questions that we have received are to do with formatting the EPUB book once we have it. And for that purposes, we brought a verified expert. So Zvonimir, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. And would you like to walk us through the process and tell us what we need to know? What are the key things that we need to know about the process?
Yes, absolutely. That's why you're here. My name is Wir Bula. I live in Zagreb in Croatia. Actually, I live between Zagreb and Venice, Italy. I spend about half time here and there. And I am working I do EPUBs for a living. I design printed books. I write, translate. I am working on an animation cartoon. You can see it right behind me. This is Dubrovnik, and this is a Shakespeare cartoon we are actually developing, and all kinds of things. And I was approached I approached PublishDrive maybe, could be like 10 years ago or maybe 8, I don't remember. And I'm collaborating in producing the EPUBs for PublishDrive, as well for many, many other clients, including literally all around the world. I think there is an estimate. It could be that I made something like 10,000 or 15,000 ebooks so far in the past 15, 20 years, including the very complex ones, demanding ones. So, as you probably know, at least in general, EPUB is the industry standard for ebooks. And the format was invented because what we usually use for books is a PDF format. PDF is a format developed by Adobe, and its philosophy, its purpose was intended for print, for paper, not even though the PDFs are often used also on computers to distribute documents. But there are some very important limitations in PDF format, which made it necessary for the publishing industry to develop another format. And the most important limit is that the PDF is not responsive, which means if you have something on a page, the pages stay fixed, and the text, images, anything, headings are going to be always on the same place on the page, which is good for printing, but is not good for screens, especially not for small screens. Whereas EPUB is going to rearrange itself automatically depending on the environment it's being read on. Like if you can actually use it from a small smartphone screen, on a tablet, e-ink device, and you can read it on a laptop or even on a big desktop screen, or you can project it on a house. And it's still in every possible environment, it's going to readjust itself. And in this way, it's behaving in a similar way like a web page. When you open a web, like let's say some news portal or something, it's going to look one way on your computer. When you open it on a phone, it's automatically going to rearrange stuff to fit the narrow screen. So the text is going to be visible. You don't have to scroll left and right just to read the line, because the line is automatically fit and cut to match the screen. So this was the idea behind EPUB. It's like a public open standard. And just like the web pages I mentioned, is basically based on the same technologies, which is HTML and CSS. HTML is a tool which is from the early 90s. Since the web was developed, it's in wide use on web. And CSS is a standard for where you define formatting, how the text is going to look like. You use those tools. They could be called like program languages or codes or stuff. So like the usual workflow, of course, first you write a book, and the vast majority of writers is using Microsoft Word for writing. It's a good tool. And then your next task is to prepare what you made, or you can either hire a professional service or you can do it yourself. You have to make a print version of the book and the ebook if you want to distribute in this way. And so if you need an ebook and you want to have an ebook out, you need to make an EPUB. There are dozens and dozens of different tools for this, and none of them is any good, unfortunately. There is a way to convert a Word document from Word to EPUB. Yeah, what you get is like even in InDesign, Adobe InDesign, which is a professional software for book design, and it supports EPUB export, but what you get is usually not going to look like you expect it. And in many cases, it's not even going to be like technically valid. It's not going to work. Why? Because the machines, well, two reasons. The machines are not good in some things, like conversion of from one, like let's say realm to another. Like paper is one thing, and the reading on screen is a completely different something. So many adjustments are needed, and you cannot expect from any software to be smart enough to be able to. So what we do, like you can use any of the conversion tools, and there is one offered by PublishDrive online where you like upload your Word document. You select a few things, like you give a few parameters, and then you, after a few seconds, you get your Word document converted to an ebook. You can also upload the cover and like define if the book has a table of contents, headings, and stuff like that. And it's going to do comparably good job. But what you are going to get is not going to be totally okay. There are always some things that need to be fixed in a manual way. And so, like for this, there are several softwares which you use to work with the code. The code, to anyone who ever did anything with the web design, the code is going to look very, very familiar. It's like basically the same thing with some like limitations and slightly different philosophy behind everything, because you are making a book and not a website. And absolutely, there is a need to open and edit the ebook you generated with an automatic converter and do some fix-ups. And so this is where if I got it right, this is where our like conversation is about. Should start like solving problems, technical stuff. There are several different programs. One is Calibri, and the other one is Sigil. Calibri, I don't use, and I know nothing about it. I cannot help you with that. I just hate it. It's a clumsy tool, and it's actually not intended for editing. Editing is added as an extra feature that doesn't really work as expected. And I can show you. I can actually share my screen and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here it is. Does this work? Can you see what I see?
Yep.
No.
Sounds like that. We have a question. What is the name of this app?
Sigil. So here it is. It's free to use. It's developed by enthusiasts. You can donate if you like it. As you can see, here on the left side, these are the chapters of the book. And each chapter is placed in an HTML file, which looks like this. Like those are very standard tools. Like you can see this, like BR means a break. This is a paragraph mark. These are the links. Of course, the links can be in an ebook. You put like basic definitions, like what's italic, what's bold, what's a heading. Like here you can see, say here there is a heading, H1, which is a level 1 heading. And so below it, this is a file. Usually it's like CSS. It has an extension. There can be more than one, but it's a bit more like practical to work with a single one. And this is where you define every element of the book. Like here is my body text style. It's using this font, Montserrat. Its size is 1. Its line height is 1.44. No margins, etc., etc. It's like left aligned. Normally, it would be justified in a regular book, like a novel or something. You use justify, and then all kinds of things. This is like I'm actually showing an insanely complex book, which has possibly a few hundred of those styles. But for a normal book, like a regular book, like a novel or short stories collection, you would just need a few, like your heading, possibly your subheading, your first paragraph with more margin, your, I don't know, like a title page, table of content elements, and stuff like that, which are going to be generated out of what you did in Word or wherever you created your book. And this is what you can use to like adjust them because they are behaving in a slightly different way. So one important thing, and all like, yeah, you can like have tables. This is a table with acronyms, so you can of course include images. Nearly any converting tool is going to use wrong units of measure, and this is like an important thing. You can use like inches or centimeters or whatever you like, points, but you can also use percentage, or you can use EM, which like this is like for this particular paragraph here. There is a definition that says its margin is 0.5 EM is the width of the letter M in this particular font. So if we enlarge the text, all related elements are going to automatically be adjusted, and so the margin or width of some element or whatever you define with EMs is going to visually remain the same. So it's going to be half of the letter M. If the font is bigger, then the spacing is going to be bigger. And the same goes to images, which are usually like there is a photo here. It's gone. This photo, we have it defined as 100% width of the reading screen. We can make it smaller, like let's say it's 50%. But if we say the photo is 3 inches, it's not going to look good because, like, what if you have a screen which is 2 inches wide or which is like a 21 inch? It's going to be tiny there. So everything should be defined or like checked and corrected to use the relative units of measure. And the most commonly used are the percentages. Like, let's have a look at the table. Like, this is a table. It has 2 columns, and so I define it like the violet column is 20% width, and the gray one is 79. So it's like 80% width. And the whole table, which is here, is 100%. So it's going to take up the whole width of the screen, and those 2 elements are going to be relatively defined to match one another. And even if I like zoom, it's going to stay the same. So it's going to be actually usable on any platform. Because what you are publishing on, let's say, Amazon or any other distribution platform, any other vendor, is going to be read by all kinds of people on all kinds of devices. There is no way you can actually know. And our job here is to make the ebook look and work as good as possible in all possible scenarios. So perhaps I could show something a bit more simple. Dr. Dolittle, actually it's in my language, in Croatian, and this is my translation. So this can give you an idea of what like an ordinary simple novel can look like. There is far less code, as you can see. These are just like simple paragraphs, which are like following the very basic rules. I made this one actually with PublishDrive's conversion tool. So it's using a bit different standards and code that I would normally use, but it still like works fine. Yeah, so like fixing back up the measures is important, especially if you have a heavy design book, like a book with a lot of images, a lot of tables and stuff like that. If you have a simple book, maybe you can even avoid this step. Then I would say like there is a font issue. As if you ever like read an ebook and use any app to read it, you can notice there is actually the user can change font. Unlike the print book, like the print book is on paper and there is no way you can change the font phase. But most apps, reading software like Amazon or Google or Apple Books or anything, they're going to offer you a choice of fonts. You can set a default font, and this can be the same like in your print version. But to think about the possibility and take it into account that there is a chance that user will use something totally different. And you want your book to look good even with a different font, which is like making it important to make the design, the code, the design, the structure of the book is as clean as possible. You don't force fonts, you just like put your default, and then the code should be made in a such way so that if a user changes the font, everything still looks good. There are some like technical problems with font embedding, even though like most platforms are supporting it and some platforms are ignoring it. And yeah, those are like the most common issues that users are going to like you're going to run into when you try to make your own ebook. What you can do if you are struggling, if you don't have a solution for a certain graphic elements used in your book, like say a drop gap or something, you can just make a simplified version. Make it as simple as possible. I mean, anything you can have on paper, you can actually have in an ebook. All kinds of like attractive graphic designs and stuff, but in many cases, like what matters is the content and not how it looks like. So quite often it's a good idea to simplify what you can just like drop out some unnecessary formatting elements, make the book simple, and then in this way you can be more sure that your readers are going to have a better experience. So another problem, like the leading company in the business, taking up possibly like 90% or even 95% of the market, is Amazon, which is a company whose history starts with books. They started to sell books first, then they started to sell ebooks, and in the meantime they sell just anything, and they completely forgot where they come from. So they are not actually putting a lot of effort in developing their ebook software, their readers. The Kindle is the most popular device and most widely used on earth, but it's pathetic. It just doesn't support very basic things. The books are not showing as they should, and for decades, like we are arguing, we are trying to like get them to fix those issues, those bugs, those imperfections, and they're just not doing anything. So to make a usable and a good looking ebook is one thing, and to make it good and usable on Amazon is it brings another dimension to everything. So in many cases, what we do, we make like a general EPUB, general ebook, which is good to be published anywhere, like on Google, Kobo, or Apple, or any other platform. And we make a tailored version with some fix-ups for Amazon, because if just one and you use all the hacks to make it look good on Amazon, it's not going to look good anywhere else, because there are standards which Amazon is just ignoring. Like, let's make it look and work good on Amazon. For simple books, like if you have just a text only novel with simple chapters and paragraphs, a single version is going to look good everywhere. But if you have anything more complex than that, usually a special Amazon tailored version is going to be needed. So how do we do that? It takes some experience. You have to know what's wrong, what is not supported, what is not behaving as it should, and then you make those little tweaks in code where you put some Amazon specific details just to make it look good. Let's say, for example, like a margin. You have a heading and you set the margin above it. Like, let's leave some blank space above the heading. Amazon is going to treat it like totally different. So your heading can end up on half of the page, which is not what you wanted. You have to make it smaller, so it gets back where it should be. But if you open the same ebook in let's say on iPad, in Apple's Reader app, it's going to be all the way to the top. So they're just like those little things that you learn with experience, and solutions you can use to make them behave as expected. Yeah. It's really, I mean, like, it's a very basic code. It's thousands of people are very familiar with using HTML and CSS. Many web designers on this planet who are not, this is not strange for them. This is actually would look like totally familiar. But unfortunately, there isn't like a what you see, what you get tool. There isn't like a software you can just drag stuff around screen and make it look as you want, and to use something like that to get a good looking and like technically valid ebook. It just doesn't exist. There is InDesign. You can use InDesign. You can generate a comparably good ebook from InDesign, but then you have to do some tweaks again, depending on the complexity of the book content. Yeah. The Sigil guide, yes, certainly there is. It's a free software. It's, as I said, it's like public domain, free to use. There is a Mac version, there is a Windows version, and there is a team of people, of volunteers who are developing it. And I believe all the documentation, all the guidelines can be found on the official site, as well on YouTube. I believe there are many there are many like usable videos where certain steps or the general process are shown. Yeah, where do we go from here? Are there any more questions? Should I show more of the technical things or?
In just one question. So when a beginner starts with the conversions, where would you suggest they start their journey? How would you suggest they make their first steps?
Okay, this is not paid advertising, it's honest. You can go to PublishDrive and you can upload your Word document there. And it's going to generate a relatively usable and good looking EPUB for you, depending on the complexity of the book. Like for plain books, it works more or less satisfactory. Like what you do there, you upload your Word document and you upload your cover, and it puts the two together and generates EPUB. It's discontinued. It's a proprietary format. It's not public, but it's generated from EPUB. So when you make an EPUB, you can just like with a few clicks, like with a save as operation, you can generate the Amazon version, which is it's not actually used. It's used only for like children books and comics, which are a completely different and very complex things. So I wouldn't go into that. So what you get there, maybe just a few steps are going to be needed. You will not have a correct metadata. So there is an option where you can enter like the general things about the book, like the book info, which is called metadata. So you put your title should be there. If it's wrong, you can correct it. Author's name, contributors' names, like the name of the translator, illustrator, if there are any. You can put your copyright info there, and then you put your keywords, the book description, and there are a few more like information, and the publisher. If you don't do that, when your book is going to show in application as a like the publisher is going to be unknown or something like that, which looks pretty bad. So you need to at least enter all those things correctly. You can do quick check with. There is a good software from Amazon, actually a good one for the difference, which is called Kindle Previewer. It's also a free application which you can use to open your ebook file and check what's it gonna look like on different devices, like from, let's say, a phone. You can like select in software to show your book is going to look like on a phone, what it's going to look like on a tablet and on an e device. If you run into any problems, like there are things that are not looking the way you want them to look, then you can actually approach every problem and try to find a solution individually for each problem. Like my font is not looking good, my images are too small or not positioned as they should be, or whatever. Every possible my I don't know, like I want to add audio. This is also an option. I want to add this and that. I want this to be different from the print version. Then you can actually fix up all the details and more or less make it look in any way you want. But each problem has a different solution. So I will show you the Kindle device, the Kindle application now. So here it is. I opened it's called Kindle Previewer. It's available from Amazon for free. And this is showing my book, the way my book is going to look like this is a tablet. I can change to e-reader. So as you can see, my colors are all gone because this is like emulating the Kindle device. And there is even a phone. Ta-da! So on the phone, the color is back, but it's a bit more cramped. Like, so what I can do, I can change the font size. I can make it ridiculously big. I can make it small. And what I'm expecting here is that my book remains readable in all possible environments. Yeah, like regardless of the device I'm using. Yeah. Oh, okay, so the Kindle Previewer is one of the apps that we use to check the final results, to see the issues and fix them in Sigil. So yeah, this, let's say, like a trade, in a way requires knowledge. Like in the first place, to be familiar with books, you have to know what a verse is, what a heading is, what like all those different things in book designs are, but you also need to be familiar with technology in a way. It's if you use InDesign to generate your ebook, it's going to mess up the fonts for whatever the reasons. I think there are some like copyright reasons or like intellectual property protection, and they were just too cautious. And what InDesign does, it actually uses like an obfuscated, a limited version of the font that it generates to display the book, and then this is far from perfect. So sometimes you need to like go to Sigil, delete all the fonts that were put in by the conversion tool, find the original font files like Minion times Garamond, whatever you're using, and put them back in the EPUB. And then there is like the final step. 5, you can validate to do an automatic validation, which will check all the code for errors and inconsistencies. Because if your ebook doesn't pass the validity check, it's not going to be published. This is actually going to happen when you go to Amazon and when you are like done and you are uploading your full ebook for publication. And the same goes to the print version too, for paperback. It's going to list you all the errors, so to fix them before you can go anywhere. It's not going to allow you to publish. You will get like some warnings, errors, like obvious code errors, like typos and stuff in the code, in the design, but also you can get some like warnings or some elements which are not supported, which you can here and there ignore. And so yeah, the step number 5 would be the validation. Step number 6 is publishing. In the process, you need to make your cover. It's usually just the front, not usually just, it should be just the front of the cover. You can take your print cover, open it in Photoshop or any other like image editing software, and save it as a JPEG, which doesn't have to be too big. It's like for screen, so something like 1200 pixels wide. You make a simple JPEG file and you upload it together with your ebook. You also need to have like the categories, the book description, authors, pricing, all those things you are actually defining as a very last step. You can use like PublishDrive's distribution to upload the book to them, like on just to one place, and they will take care that your ebook and your print book and even your audiobook now, they show up for sale on as many different sites as possible. So this is more or less the process. I can understand that for most people who are writers or even designers, the code I showed looks scary and horrible, but I can assure it's not really that difficult to manage, at least not for simple problems solving and simple tweaks.
So, do we have any additional questions? If we don't have any more questions, I would like to thank you so much for walking us through. And obviously, when it comes to our clients, please feel free to reach out to our support team if you do encounter any issues, and we are always happy to help.
If you're scared of this, if this doesn't work for you, there is always a way. I mean, to hire a professional to do it, and I can assure you that the fees are not very high. Like, they don't compare to what you usually pay to have a print book designed. It's far less. So maybe if you are like a self-published author and only a few books, perhaps it's not worth the learning curve. It's not worth the effort of like managing another skill just to make 2 or 3 or 1 ebook. My advice would be to hire somebody to do it for you.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing this with us. Thank you everyone for attending. You will receive the recording as well, so you can reference that as needed. And we will be sharing additional information about all and any upcoming webinars. Again, thank you everyone for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.